Hi, today I'm joined by Professor Dr. Sreeram Chaulia, who is a social scientist and an opinion maker on international affairs. He holds a doctorate and a Master's of Arts in Political Science and International Relations from Syracuse University and an MSc in History of International Relations from the London School of Economics and Political Science. He was a Radhakrishnan British Evening Scholar at the University of Oxford, where he obtained a BA in Modern History. Professor Chaulia also has a Bachelor of Arts degree from St. Stephen's College, Delhi University. So, Professor Chaulia, you are also the Dean of the Jindal School of International Affairs. And this year in 2021, we're collaborating with Coursera to start, Coursera's first and only master's program in international relations. Now, why is international relations important as a subject or as a discipline to study?
Thank you, Arjya. I think the world, the way it's shaping up, conflicts, cleavages, and more divisions are obvious. And there was a time, 1990s onwards, when there was a consensus that the world was moving in a direction of unification and globalization, homogenization, but now you see a divergent pattern, especially in the last 5 years or so. So, studying international relations, international security, strategy of major powers, small powers, middle powers, is becoming very critical now, because without that you cannot get a grasp of the way the world is heading, So, this is a very contemporary, cutting-edge type of program that's meant to train students at different levels, different occupations, backgrounds from different countries around the world, to think about the current shape, how geopolitics and rivalries increasingly are shaping our world, and will continue to drive the international processes and even domestic developments within countries. So we've designed this online masters in international relations, security and strategy as a kind of a cutting edge or bleeding edge program that gives all the students a complete overview of what's happening around the world, why it's happening, and how they could build careers and also expand their knowledge and analytical abilities to explain all this.
We'll talk about the learning outcomes in a bit, but I wanted to first ask you that why online? I mean, we could have easily have launched an international relations, or we already have a master's in diplomacy, law and business at the JSIA. Why the decision to go online?
Yeah, see, online is obviously the wave of the future, and the pandemic has in many ways shown us the limitations of the physical brick and mortar institutions having students in classrooms in person. Of course, that will continue, and we will continue to do that. But what we realize is there is a large untapped, potential of young and middle-aged and older people who want to come back to learn about the world and world politics and all this, and they cannot, be required to move, from one end of the earth to another, come physically to India, to Sonipat, and do this on our campus. But we've got the resources, we've got the global faculty, we've got the global vision, as I said, about the way the world is transforming. So we believe that young people or mid-level professionals can avail of this. It's a lot more convenient, it's a lot more cost-effective, and of course, it also helps us to offer them infinite amount of resources, because we can bring in not only our own faculty but also guest speakers and experts, and it's easier to organize. And I think for them, sitting on their office desks or at their homes, this is like a window to the world, and we are opening it for them.
So I want to talk a little bit about the faculty at JSI. Of course, we've been working together for many years, but could you tell us a little bit about the faculty members who are involved in this particular program?
What we have done is we put a mix of practitioners and pure academicians. So scholar diplomats, quite a few of them are teaching in this program, and they give a different edge, because then students realize how the practice of diplomacy and statecraft and negotiations works, and of course we have very well-known scholars who are straight out of academia, and who bring a deeper theoretical perspective.
Right.
So it's a mix of praxis and theory, and I think our faculty drawn from around the world, including from India, we will bring a different perspective which, for example, if you're doing an online degree from a US university or a British university, those will be heavily slanted with one perspective. But what we are doing at Jindal is, being in the global south, we're giving a developing country angle, but also a number of our faculty are from Europe and North America. So, it's more rounded, and I think it helps students, we'll never impose our views on them. Let them make their choices as to what is right or wrong, what is morally correct or incorrect. But what we are giving them is this holistic picture from pluralistic or multiple angles. I think our faculty will do that. So left, right, center, all are represented in this faculty body, and we are so proud of them.
So two of the key takeaways that I had from that is that one is there's been this beleaguerment that you take up an academic program or you study something, but the real world does not necessarily behave in the way you've been taught. So the real learning happens in the real world. But you're suggesting that there are so many faculty members who've been industry leaders, who've been in the industry of diplomatic practice for so many years, and now they are teaching.
And also military professionals. Right. A lot of retired generals, senior military officers are going to be teaching about security. Right. One of the courses, just to give one example, it's about maritime security. It's being taught by a retired Indian Navy officer who has manned ships and commanded warships in the entire Indo-Pacific. It's different to learn from a textbook than to hear from a naval commander, and to learn from them.
So let's just talk a little bit about the learning outcomes and the graduate outcomes of this program. Now, when people think, oh, I want to study international relations, I want to get into the United Nations or some other intergovernmental or international agency, but that's not necessarily true, right? Because I speak to so many of your alumni, and they're working in a wide range of wide range of careers spanning from research think tanks to consultancies to even multinational corporations. Do you think the same applies to the IR students?
Absolutely. The online program students will get career support from our side. We will be connecting them to potential employers in their native countries, wherever they are. We'll be writing references for them. And I think, like you said, government, consultancies, think tanks, a lot of intergovernmental institutions, lots of private sector companies that are worried about risk, and who want analysts and in-house people who can advise them about where to invest, in which part of the world, stability, lack of stability, potential for conflict or chaos in some region. This is what I think our students will get, and I think these skills will be invaluable for them to build their careers. So it's not only the United Nations, it's not only the career diplomatic service. Like you said, there are all kinds of new emerging career fields for whom we are equipping these students.
Very interestingly, I was having this conversation with an alumni of yours who researches and provides intelligence services specifically in the Kashmir region, right? And out of that conversation came this idea that if I were a hotelier, and if I wanted to set up a hotel or buy a property in, let's say, Srinagar or Gulmarg, right, is this the right time to do it, right? How safe or secure will my property be?
Likewise for every region, our students are going to be learning about developments in Africa, in other parts of Asia, in India's own neighborhood, in Latin America. So yeah, I think the ability to understand, map out the terrain and to understand who are the main actors, and to parse the conflicts going on there, and to be able to advise potential investors about do's and don'ts, and whether to go in or not, what is the right timing for it. This is what our alumni have been doing, and I'm very confident online master students will also find similar fairly lucrative positions to advance their career.
All right, so thank you so very much, Sreeram. This has been great. So that was an introduction to the MA in International Relations, Security and Strategy program that is being offered by the Jindal School of International Affairs in collaboration with Coursera. Feel free to drop in an email to online@jgu.edu.in if you should have any questions.